Hello and welcome to Working Together. In this series of interviews, we explore the value of collaboration, cooperation and co-working in business and speak to some inspiring business people to learn how collaboration supported their business journey. If you don't know me already, my name's Beth and I'm the operations manager at the projects. We are an independent members club and we provide an offline and online space for entrepreneurs, freelancers, startups and small businesses to co-work. They also end up collaborating together and supporting each other as well. We're always excited to hear stories of exciting collaborations because we believe that beautiful things happen when we work together. This week's guests, I'm very excited to say, are Sharron Goodyear and Sammie Venn, co-founders of the Soulful Life Club. The Soulful Life Club is an inclusive, holistic hub for women to support well-being, health and entrepreneurship. As well as building this incredible platform, Sharron is a photographer, branding consultant and business coach. And Sammie is a writer, jewellery designer and retailer. So two very, very busy ladies. Thank you both so much for joining me. Sammie and Sharron, please can you just tell me a little bit about Soulful Life Club in your own words?
Right. Well, Soulful Life Club, you said it so well. The Soulful Life Club is a holistic hub and wellness site for women, and it is basically it's something that we're building at the moment. So the whole concept. Do you want me to explain the concept behind it briefly?
Oh yeah, please.
Yeah. Okay. So basically, we wanted to create a hub between us that was for women at all points on their journey through womanhood. So we realised that particularly on Facebook and stuff, there's a lot of very kind of, I guess, exclusive, although they are inclusive, but they're kind of exclusive in the fact that they just tend to be targeted towards entrepreneurs and stuff. And we wanted to include all women. So, you know, you didn't have to be a businesswoman to come and join our Facebook group. And really the whole concept, I guess, came about because both Sammie and I, as you know, as you've just said, we spin a lot of plates because we have, you know, Sammie writes, I have my photography, and Sammie has her business and I have mine. And so, and we're both mothers as well, and we have homes to run and stuff. And, you know, life is a juggle. So we wanted to create something that was for a way forward of living more holistically and creating more balance. So that was the basic concept behind it. So we've created a website and we have lots of contributors. So we have people across the kind of wellness industry and business as well that have started to get involved with us, started to contribute towards, you know, towards what we're doing in terms of blog writing. And then the next phase is content and providing content for us and doing stuff in the group for us. So it's exciting, and we've got a lot to look forward to in terms of what we're trying to do. We're launching a shop soon. I keep saying that we are launching a shop soon.
Yeah, we are launching a shop soon.
We are launching a shop soon.
I've designed a range of jewellery for the shop that's exclusive to SLC. So we've got some beautiful products that are vegan friendly as well. We've got candles that are hand poured in the UK. We've got beautiful hand creams and all sorts of lovely products that we've had branded specifically for SLC. Oh yeah, she's wearing one of our t-shirts. Yeah,
it's gorgeous. I love it.
This is the crown chakra, and this is actually the SLC emblem. So, but the plan is to roll out a series of t-shirts with the various chakras on them. So, but yeah, we're very excited about our products, aren't we, Sammie?
We are, yeah. And there's jewellery to match as well. So that there's the chakra jewellery, sort of like earrings, necklaces, bracelets. It's all sterling silver, all made by me. So yeah, we've got some really kind of exciting products to launch sort of in the next month or so. So yeah, it's been really great.
And so, how did you two meet? And like, what made you want to collaborate together?
I'm going to answer this one because it's a really funny story. So, obviously, I've been in the retail industry for a really long time. I moved here about 4.5 years ago and rebranded my entire business because I used to have shops, and I had to, when I split up with my partner, I moved here and I had to kind of just sort of rejig how I worked. So I do a lot of work in artisan market stalls, in big shows like Country Living, Full Vintage, so which has obviously been hit very hard at the moment with COVID-19. But I was on a market stall in Lewes High Street, and it was a very, very windy day, and I was with one of my best friends, and she was literally standing there holding the marquee down as the wind was blowing everywhere. And it picked up my tablecloth, the jewelry went flying all into the precinct, and Sharron came along, stopped and helped me pick it up. And that's how we met. And then we got talking about what she did and what I did, and I'm in the process of writing a book which I want some photographs for. So we were always talking initially about Sharron doing the photos for the book, and we swapped numbers, had coffee, and I suppose for sort of it took us 3 years to get to where we are now, but we always knew we wanted to collaborate somehow, but we couldn't actually pinpoint exactly what we were going to do. But it was like a knowing that we wanted and needed to actually do something, but it was coming up with the right plan, which is what Sharron came up with. So over to you now, darling.
That's such a great story. I love that. Meant to be.
Yeah,
Meant
to be. I just point out I was not shoving her drawing in my pockets. I was tempted as I was, because it was so I just
it's altruistic. So obviously you guys met, you knew each other for 3 years before that. So how did Soulful Life Club come about? Where did that appear from?
Well, it was funny because we, like I say, Sammie and I sort of had this kind of knowing that we were meant to be working together in some way. We didn't know how. We we'd come up with so many different ideas, or maybe we could do this, maybe we could do that. And then a couple of years or so ago, I had this concept and this idea that I wanted to create some form of hub for women, and particularly women who've been through journeys in their life. And we've both had our own journeys and gone through self-development and what have you. And so previously I'd actually set up and started to do a couple of interviews with people, and I kind of had this vision of putting it somewhere, whether it be on a YouTube channel or what have you. But I'd never really sort of managed to progress with it because of the fact that I had got busy with family life, photography. I have my own kind of fashion and lifestyle blog as well, so that kind of took me to one side. But when I was talking to Sammie, we were trying to think of ways that we could link our services together, put it under one umbrella. So we came up with this concept of a Facebook group, and then I sort of had my eureka moment again, which was this idea of going back to this hub for women. And as we explored it together, it became a much bigger thing than what I could have ever achieved on my own. And like all positive collaborations, because we had a friendship there as well, it's been an amazing journey for us both, because not only have we had the opportunity to brainstorm and create our joint vision of how we want Soulful Life Club to look, it's also been an extraordinary, soulful, personal journey together as friends, and it's brought us very, very close, and it's been lovely, and I it's probably the most wonderful, open, honest friendship with so much laughter that I've had certainly in a very long time, if ever.
We do laugh a lot, and I think one of we have a very sensible side. We have a very soulful attitude towards what we do, but we also have a very silly side where we laugh hysterically a lot. And we've even joked about doing a behind the scenes maybe at some point, which we probably should.
Absolutely.
And I think that's been really important for us. I think for me, the best thing about this collaboration that we have together and this joint venture is that it's very honest, it's very transparent. We tell each other how we feel when we're feeling upset, when we're feeling agitated, if something's happened at home that's affecting how we're doing that particular day. You what, darling?
I said not necessarily agitated with each other, just generally.
Oh no, yeah, just generally, yeah, absolutely, yeah, no, not with each other. But it's been really good because we've been able to be so honest, and blatantly honest, really, and I think that's been the key to sort of us being, you know, a successful partnership, because it's been about a year since we've really got the ball rolling, and I think last year was very hard for me at the end of the year because I was working all hours in the freezing cold, and it took its toll on me really, sort of like quite badly physically, and so we were saying, right, we've really got to sort of like get the ball rolling in January and keep moving forward. But as we keep on saying, it's not a sprint, it's a marathon, and it's actually about enjoying it along the way, because if we're not going to enjoy it along the way, then there's no point in actually in doing it, really. And I think it's as much fun as it is anything else, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. Someone actually said to us, and I thought this was really key actually, because I'm a very big ideas thinker and I get very excited because I'm very creative, and I'm like, oh, and someone actually said to me, you know, it's great and I think it's an amazing concept, but don't try and be Amazon as they are now. You know, Amazon started off as like this little bookshop in a garage, and then it kind of built into this amazing thing. And we think that Soulful Life Club as a concept has limitless potential, but we have had to rein ourselves in a little bit because we are trying to balance it with, you know, and basically live our own mantra, which is, you know, of having and creating balance in our life. And it's easy sometimes to get carried away on one thing. So we have to sometimes pull ourselves back and take it one sort of building block at a time.
Yeah.
And but the other thing is that we didn't want this project to just be about us. This project and this platform that we are creating is for women generally. We want to support and help women and create an amazing community, but we also want it to be for all of our collaborators so that they can all benefit from it and their businesses can benefit and grow from it as well. So we've always said this isn't just for us, this is for all of you. So
that's brilliant. That was a really interesting thing you said about balance. I mean, I'm just quite interested to hear for both of you, like what balance means to you when you're building a business. Like what does a good balance feel like, if anybody wants to grab that one?
I think it's challenging, but because like Sharron was saying, you know, we've got all of these ideas, we've got a process, you know, we've got a much larger vision, and it's about taking it step by step. And we had our first event, which was due to happen on the 26th of March, and obviously we went into lockdown, and we were really excited about that because we wanted to launch lunch and supper clubs where we had guest speakers, and it was sort of like a really engaging, sort of a beautiful and kind of soulful environment. So we'd embarked on that part of our journey, and obviously it got cut, you know, very short with COVID. So we said, right, okay, well, we're looking at doing our podcast, we're looking at doing our own interviews, we wanted to build the group more, and we wanted to get more contributors on board so we could start having lives in the group and people could introduce themselves and their businesses as well, and then build a hub, which is kind of a hub of knowledge. So we've decided to almost concentrate more on that part of it at the moment, because that's something that we can do in lockdown. So we've had to kind of decompartmentalize and then sort of, I suppose, rearrange the jigsaw puzzle a little bit. So, but balance is hard with homeschooling and children as well. I think we're trying to build a business too.
I don't have kids, but I can't even imagine like trying to do everything in lockdown with kids as well.
I have 3 children, and it's, you know, it's hard work. But for me, it's really funny because I have realised that I am, you know, when I get very involved in my work, and particularly when things are busy, because as a photographer, I'm a personal branding photographer, and obviously when lockdown happened, all my work effectively ground to a halt because I couldn't be near people. So I've actually launched, I'm doing virtual shoots now. So I actually
That's
do
so
shoot
cool.
over FaceTime, which has been really successful, and that's suddenly kept me really, really busy. And then obviously I have my responsibilities with regard to SLC as well. So I found that I was getting so involved with work, and I suddenly realized that if I'm not careful, I'm going to burn myself out. So now I've had to pull back a bit. And this is the great thing about having, a business partner that you can sort of self-check with, on both on a friendship level and on a business level as well, where we've actually said, you know what, the priority and the balance has to come into play here, where there's no point in trying to grow this beautiful holistic business if you're not spending any time with your children or your partner, or you're not having any time for self-care, because actually you're not living your ethos. So that's where we're quite good at kind of talking to each other about things like that and saying, we need to, it's fine. It doesn't matter if it's next week. I mean, obviously there's key things that happen each week that we have to fulfill on. But if things take a little bit longer for our own sanity, then, we're both okay with that, because lockdown is an extraordinary time and the pressures are very different, aren't they?
Absolutely. So the way that you guys talk about your relationship is really heartwarming, and it's something that I think not only women in business but just anybody in business should want to emulate. What do you guys think is the secret to your good relationship? You kind of said about laughing a lot, silliness, like honesty. I mean, what would you, could you boil it down to one thing? Or
I've described what we, as from a business perspective, so obviously my surname is Venn. Although I'm not a mathematician, I use the concept of the Venn diagram.
Yeah.
So I looked at it that there was Sammie Soul Warriors, which is my business, Sharron Goodyear Photography, which is hers, and then SLC. And that little loop in the middle that you get on a Venn diagram is where all three of our businesses and skill sets interconnect. So we are both very different. We both have very different skill sets, but it's kind of like a really well balanced yin yang marriage in a way, because I can't do what Sharron does, she doesn't do what I do. So it's a very complementary. So yeah, I call it our little business Venn diagram.
That's great.
And I would say, from my point of view, the biggest reason that I think we're a successful partnership is because this could be considered a risk for some people, but we came to it from a place of love and friendship first of all, because we knew that we were compatible from a friendship point of view, and that we had although we have different views on some things, we also share a similar outlook. So I think having that commonality is very important. But the one thing that has been the common thread, and I think Sammie would agree with that, is our complete transparency, our complete honesty, and our ability to talk about things, even when sometimes, it's challenging. Yeah. And sharing our challenges and sharing our struggles, because by doing that, we always know what kind of headspace the other one is in. And if I'm going through a tough week because I've got 3 kids at home and I'm struggling to get things done, Sammie will help lighten the load and say, well, let me do this, and vice versa. So, and we don't put extraordinary pressure on each other either. So, and the key thing that we've always said is this has to remain fun and enjoyable, because when it stops being fun and enjoyable, then it just becomes a job, and it's our passion, isn't it, Sammie?
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that one of the ways we've restructured essentially through lockdown is we kind of do, in our group, we sort of post every other day, but we've now restructured how the group works. So we do 1 week on, 1 week off, and that's been really good. So that week we have on, we're very SLC focused, and then the week that the other person has off, they can concentrate. So like this week, Sharron, or no, last week you were doing all your virtual shoots, weren't you? And so I was writing, and this week I've gone, I will write and do some blog posts, because I'm not working within the actual the group side of things. So we've actually structured the balance of who does what, I think, really quite fairly as well.
Absolutely.
So that's worked.
Yeah, I was going to ask you like how you're sort of like making sure that the workload is shared out equally. But I mean, how do you have a plan in place for, as you do grow, how you kind of, not only the workload but like even the rewards and this, you know, the success, how that's shared out equally? Have you guys thought about how that will work as well?
Plan at the moment is how we plan to kind of monetize it and you know, turn it into a profitable business. Obviously we've got the shop element, we're both invested in that, so we'll be splitting profits on that, but also we plan to we're creating this hub which is going to be free content, but we're also going to be working with our contributors to put their courses on there, so there'll be a commission on that, a bit like if you were to put something on Etsy, you know, there'll be a commission related to that. We're going to have our directory of experts as well. This is all, you know, in the pipeline, things that we're going to be doing over the next 12 months or so. And so on top of that, we're going to have our events and stuff. So, you know, we will be very fair in the split in that. And Sammie and I have different skill sets. I mean, I look after the website, and Sammie's doing a lot of the blog writing at the moment. I'm getting the blogs online. And sort of making things look pretty, as it were, because that's my kind of skill set. Sammie does all the lovely jewelry, so it's you know, we see it as a very balanced, equal relationship. And some weeks there's going to be one of us is going to find themselves doing more than others, but it all tends to balance out really. So so we I think we'll split that, and we'll have our business bank account, and it will work all very properly.
Yeah.
That's really good.
We've actually been really we set out a lot of ground rules and boundaries right from the start, so we knew exactly where we both stood, and I think that's very, very key. So there hasn't been any kind of, you know, change with that. So I think it's made us both feel really comfortable because we both know exactly where we stand.
And there's no power struggles between us either. You know, we're very equal. So.
That's really important, and the boundaries are such an important thing in any relationship at all. But I imagine, particularly as two friends who are launching this together, there's, I mean, how does that look? When do you set aside sides where you're like, now we're just friends, like now we're not talking about business, and now we're like, how does it kind of work in practice?
Naturally, doesn't it?
Yeah, it just sort of morphs. I mean, we're actually, can I say about the Soulful Nightclub?
Yeah.
Okay, right. Okay. So we're doing something a little bit mad on Friday, and we're launching something called the Soulful Night Club, which is going to be an online Zoom disco within the group for the women. And we've chosen some songs and got everyone to pick what they want, and we're just going to do 4 songs with a glass of wine on Friday night, just to add a bit of energy into the group and have a laugh. So when we were choosing the songs this week, it went from choosing songs, laughing about when we were sort of like back in the 90s and in nightclubs, to then kind of being quite serious about which ones we were going to put online. So it seems to just go from, it seems to kind of just flow really sort of like quite well, I suppose.
And and then I it was our first day that we were allowed to social distance in the garden together on Monday, so I went over to Sammie's, and we sat in the garden, but and the plan had been that we were going there for a brainstorm and to discuss that, but we spent most of the afternoon just laughing and talking about life. And I think that's again a really important part of having a really worthwhile collaboration in business, is to have that relationship, that it's not all just work, and that actually we understand each other as humans and know and are compatible and get on, and that is the key, I think, to success in any collaboration. And I know people say, oh, you don't have to be friends to be in business, but I think it really helps if you're friends that can have that, the laughter, the honesty, the love, and the same passion and the same drive,
Absolutely.
And I think one of the things that was really hard, because obviously we haven't seen each other, was we are both very tactile, cuddly people, and we both got very tearful about the fact that we couldn't have a have a hug after not seeing each other for, you know, nearly 3 months. So it's all about, you know, it's been very challenging, I think, from that perspective as well, because we always sort of say we have our own little mantra where we actually work better together than apart, and we get so much done when we actually work together in the same room. It's kind of like we're don't you think we really
fire? The reason I say that is because it's quite hilarious, because actually one day when we were literally having
yes.
the best brainstorm ever, and we were in Sammie's lounge, and she'd lit a candle, like a candle, and put it on the coffee table, and I'd rested my my notebook, and I'd sort of propped it up for some reason, and it had fallen onto the candle, and it had like, obviously it had like this sort of plastic, it wasn't just paper, it was like, it had this sort of plasticky coating, and I was like, what is that smell? And then I realized that it was actually my notebook was starting to set on fire. So I just had this big, in my lovely pink notebook, I have this big scorch mark, and so so Sammie just wrote, "Us girls are on fire."
So like, for your notebook.
Yeah, kind of sums us up, really.
That's amazing. Well, obviously, like you two collaborate all the time, and you have your contributors that add to your club as well. Do you think there's a particular value for women, especially, to be collaborating with others?
Yeah, I think for me, I actually wrote a post about this on my SharronGoodyear.com website called "Collaboration is the New Black." But yeah, based on our own working relationship and the fact that, you know, there are so many advantages. If you get the chemistry right, there's so many advantages to collaborating. And I think two heads together, particularly with different points of view, but a shared kind of view of life, can come up with so many more ideas. You create a bigger network between you. And I think, I mean, I can't talk for men. I don't know how it works for men, but it's certainly worked for us, hasn't it, Sam?
Yeah, definitely. And I think it's about knowledge share as well, apart from anything else, because I mean, I'm in the Mompreneur group, MNC, and I've been in that group for 4 years now, and Sharron hadn't heard of it, so I got her to come along back in the spring or just before lockdown, and it's been wonderful for you, hasn't it? It's made a real difference to your business. So I think that sort of it's sharing and knowledge share, and not being afraid to actually want to share or collaborate with other people. I think that's really important too.
Also, as well, helps with the costs, because we share the costs of things as well.
Absolutely. And what is, like, I often find myself in my role, so I work with lots of small businesses and get to talk to lots of amazing people, but I never I think there's an assumption that we all know what collaboration is. So what does, like, collaboration actually sort of mean to you guys as you work together?
For me, it's also about having company, because I think when you're a sole trader, I have been self-employed for 25 years, and it can be very lonely. So even when I had my own shop, I was there on my own, and yes, customers came in, but you know, you're not actually working with someone, so you're making all those decisions by yourself. I have a tendency to starburst, so I think, oh, I want to do this and I want to do that, and all that might work, but you've got no one to bounce those ideas off. And I think with collaborating, you've got someone to get excited with about what you're doing, about that journey, but you've also got someone to actually sort of rein you in a little bit too, and say, we can't do that now, but we can do that then. Let's put it into the master plan, and you know, and work towards it. So I think it's also about having accountability to someone else too. I think that's definitely helped me without a doubt.
What she said.
Sorry, I put you on the spot. That's quite a hard question, isn't it?
No, that was a really interesting question, because actually, no, that was a good thing to do. Thank you.
It's all right. I think what you said about accountability is so key, and also I think what someone said, maybe Sammie, what you said about for me, like collaborating and working with other people is about giving more than you're hoping to receive a lot of the time, and I think that's what a lot of people, as they're starting out in a small business, or as they're going to networking events or trying to reach out and expand their network, it can be a bit guarded and a bit fearful of sharing what they know and all of these things. But like you say, with Sammie introducing people to the mompreneur network and you getting lots of work out of that is only going to benefit your business as well, and then it'll benefit their business, and we all, especially as women, we kind of all rise each other up. So I think
absolutely
it's so important.
Point as well. I find it really interesting because and I was actually reading or listening to an audiobook about this, and about this kind of people being quite possessive over their own knowledge and their own information, and I don't want to share because maybe they're my competition, or maybe they'll go and use that. I try to practice living in abundance and feeling that actually, you know what, there is enough for us all. We don't all have to be grabby from the plate. We can actually just sit there and share. And I believe, if you believe in this whole kind of universal law, the more you put out and the more you give, the more you shall receive. And so I'm not afraid to be open and share my knowledge with the world and tell people what I do and help people, and without having to go, like other photographers and stuff, I'll talk to them and I'll share my knowledge, because actually, I'm okay with it, because people don't buy necessarily just what you do, they buy you and who you are, and they buy into you. So we will create our tribe, and Soulful Life Club won't be for everybody, but we're not trying to be for everybody. We're trying to be for a very a specific group of women who identify with what it is that we're trying to do. So,
and you're totally right, and I've really noticed that. I wonder if you guys have as well, since lockdown and since we haven't been able to physically go out and connect with everybody else. I've really noticed people maybe being forced to, but being more open to sharing and supporting each other. Have you noticed that with your group as well?
I think people have to evolve, don't they?
Yeah.
I think what I've found in the group is that people have been really willing to share their personal stories, because it is a private group. So it's not just about sharing their knowledge, it's about feeling comfortable that the group that we've created is something that is nurturing and nourishing. And I think if you asked anyone that's in our group, they would probably say they feel very comfortable about being there and very willing to kind of share and talk about their problems, give advice, share a book or something. And I think that's been really valuable. And we've noticed the engagement within the group has been absolutely astonishing since lockdown, because I think people are actually looking to find some comfort in a way, I suppose. So we've had some amazing contributors. There's one woman called Camilla Miller. She's absolutely fantastic. She did a live the other day, and she's a parenting expert, so I think that was particularly helpful for people who are kind of suffering with how to look after their children and balance work in lockdown. So she's been great. We've had a woman who talked about triggers as well. She's really amazing. So I think all of our contributors have been willing to actually share their knowledge freely and with real grace, and I think that's been a real sort of bonus with lockdown, actually.
It's been really, really encouraging for us that all of these women, and all the people that we've talked to about Soulful Life Club want to be involved, because they can see what we're trying to achieve and they believe in it as well. And it's an opportunity for them to use the platform to I guess create more visibility for what they're doing in a group that they perhaps wouldn't have been known in, or with a group of women they wouldn't have been known in. So it's great. And we we've really enjoyed it because we've met so many people on this journey we wouldn't ordinarily have had that kind of relationship contact with, and just listening to what they do and their stories, it just really fulfills a part of my life that I hadn't realized maybe even needed it, if that makes sense.
Absolutely. It's just the support and the network and you know, just having a similar purpose and sharing in that purpose is so fulfilling when you realize, oh, I'm not by myself. Oh, other people feel the same way. So I totally understand. Well, I'm going to wrap up and I'll ask you one more question, which is if you can both just sort of sum up what you personally get from working in collaboration.
I would say fulfillment, support, friendship, and the excitement and joy I get from actually having somebody to bounce ideas off and brainstorm with.
Sammie?
Friendship, definitely, and our friendship has got stronger and stronger, which has been really lovely. Companionship as well, not feeling lonely in business. I think that's a wonderful part of our collaboration, but also collaboration in general. And a lot of laughter, and you know, I mean, we all have to work, but it doesn't always have to be, you know, serious. And I think actually taking this sort of like holistic, soulful approach to our working life as well has been really valuable to our own mental health. So yeah, it's all of those things, I think.
Well, Sharron and Sammie, thank you so much for your time today. It's been a real pleasure to get to know you both and get to hear about Soulful Life Club. Where can everyone find out more information about you?
Well, our website is soulfullifeclub.com, but we're very active on our group on Facebook. So we have a Facebook page, which is Soulful Life Club, but the group is also Soulful Life Club. So if you just look on Facebook, you will find us there in the group, and we're going to be growing our Instagram and other forms of social media soon.
Well, thank you so much, ladies, and thank you to you for watching as well. You can find more information about the projects at the-projects.space, and you can follow us on all of our social media channels at the Projects BTN, and we'll see you next week right here for the next episode of Working Together. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thanks, Beth.
Thanks, guys.
Thank
Bye.
you. Bye.